part 4, and we see that Savior's still trying to kill off these units here. It's really amazing here how Bisu is still trying to struggle with Savior. But it's just true that Savior, even with this lack of expansions and this lack of everything, he's able to have a really, really good economy. Still desperately trying to expand, but it's kind of impossible at this point. Even though Savior's macro is really, really good, even though he pretty much has no minerals left, it's very surprising. If he was able to get any expansions, Bisu would definitely not be able to cope with Savior, because Savior has one of the best macros I've ever seen. Savior, it's just amazing how much he's able to macro, and he only has 2 mining bases right now, and he's still able to macro really, really nicely, still able to challenge Bisu. But at this point, Bisu only has 1 mining base, because the probes mine a little bit faster since there's more probes. So at this point, it's kind of actually even matched, because Savior's been playing pretty well, even though he was unable to take an expansion, because that was mainly because Bisu is very aggressive. There's not many Protosses that are this aggressive. Though they are aggressive, they play a little bit more passively. They adapt to the Zerg, and they basically just attack when they know they can win. What Bisu does is he just attacks, and he knows even if he doesn't win, he's still going to be doing a lot of damage, and he micros his units really well. So we see air superiority coming back here, lots of Corsairs, and this is going to force Savior to get a lot of anti-air units, because he's going to lose too many Overlords. And Scourges won't really work at this point, since once there's too many Corsairs, Scourges will all get decimated, and this game is probably already over. Right now we see that there's a really big army here that Bisu has, and Savior is just unable to produce any more units. Bisu does scout a new expansion going up for Savior, but Savior is going to try and launch another attack, trying to take out this expansion here. So Bisu is going to be forced to protect it. So the expansion was taken out. There's ultras coming in. Storms going off. Really well played storms. No! Oh my god. Too many Corsairs coming in. No Dark Swarm. A Dark Swarm could have helped a little bit, but not that much. There's just too many melee units. Oh my god. There's a lot of Corsairs now. And these Corsairs are going to be able to destroy every single Overlord. Since with all these Corsairs, it's going to be almost be able to kill Overlords instantly. And they have 2 upgrades, it seems. So really, this is very, very bad position for Savior right now. Bisu is still trying to get that expansion up there, but he is at this point going to start attacking Savior with his army, and Savior is not going to be able to get that expansion up again. Once again, Savior did not get any defense over there, so he is going to lose it. I think he should have gotten some defense over there, and as soon as it was finished, he should have sunk Lork Sport, everything out of it, because he's kind of behind right now. And if he sunk Lork Sport, he'd be able to keep that expansion alive, because sunk Lork Sport is very, very strong defense. But at this point, Savior really has nothing. He can't really do anything because oh god, he doesn't have any minerals left, and it's already a little bit too late. Too little, too late. There's no Overlords here. All these drones are gonna go down, and he has to evacuate. And that was pretty much his only base that had minerals left. And there's just a huge army here for Bisu. Bisu, he's just way too strong. Bisu is really, really strong in this matchup, and he knows what Savior cannot handle. He knows what he needs to do, and he's actually taking this expansion again, so Savior is not going to be able to cope with this. All these probes going back over, and yeah, it seems that Savior does not have any mining drones left, except in that one last expansion, but it is going down. Corsair's got another expansion going up for Savior, and Savior will have to defend against another attack. But the main thing, I think, was that Savior did not try and get his expansion's defense early in the game. He should have gotten at least a couple of units, more than one lurker. He should have gotten a couple of units defending those expansions, because at that point, after he already secured his natural and that bottom right one expansion, if he started taking expansions there, he should have seen that Bisu had a pretty large army and should have tried to defend them a little bit more well. We see a Dark Swarm coming up here, and looks like Bisu may lose his expansion, but his army is right behind. And it doesn't really matter if he loses expansion or not, because he's going to be able to take this expansion out. Savior is not going to have any minerals, and that expansion didn't have any minerals anyways. So, really at this point, Savior has nothing left. He cannot macro, he cannot do anything, just because he was unable to expand. We see a pretty nice lurker block there, though, blocking the ramp with lurkers, but the lurkers did finish morphing. But still, so many Corsairs over here. That expansion wasn't even taken out, and we see that Bisu just has another expansion, and Savior's pretty much out. So I think it was a little bit of Savior's stubbornness to not really protect his expansions. The one thing he could have done is if he didn't put too much expansion, if he didn't put too much defense at his expansions, he could at least try to do a counterattack. Sacrificing one Zerg expansion is a little bit better than sacrificing a Protoss expansion. So either one of those two choices, and pretty much Savior did nothing. He did neither of them. He tried to just get those expansions by themselves with only a little bit of defense, and that's not possible since Bisu is a very good player, very aggressive. If Savior tried this against a passive play, I think it'd definitely work. He'd have an amazing macro at this game, at this point in the game. But he has no minerals mining right now, so it's just GG. That was a pretty good game. I think it was still a little bit of Savior's stubbornness, just like in the MSL finals. He should have noticed that he couldn't get an expansion up, and he really needed it, so he should have tried at least a little bit harder to get those expansions up. I don't think he tried to expand several times, but he never got any defense there to make them, to let the expansions finish before they were killed. So I think that was just one of the mistakes that Savior made, and allowing Bisu to expand too much was another mistake. So GG. Savior trying really hard. He almost beat Bisu in a few good attacks, but Bisu really had a good micro and amazing macro as well, as he was able to pressure Savior at the same time as getting an expansion, and Bisu was just able to prevent any expansions from coming up. If Savior did get those expansions, he definitely would have won this game though. GG.